The laws of Eshnunna, Mesopotamia. The ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia are often remembered as the birthplace of writing, urbanization, and complex government. Among their most significant contributions to world history is the emergence of codified laws which set precedents for later legal traditions. While the Code of Hammurabi is the most famous Mesopotamian law code, it was not the first. Preceding it by almost a century are the laws of Eshnunna, an early legal collection that provides invaluable insight into the values, economic concerns, and social structures of early 2nd millennium BCE Mesopotamia. These laws, though less complete and less well known than Hammurabi's code, shed light on everyday life, property rights, and the responsibilities of rulers toward their subjects. Understanding the laws of Eshnunna allows us to trace the development of Mesopotamian legal traditions and appreciate the gradual refinement of justice in one of humanity's earliest civilizations. Historical background. The city of Eshnunna, located in the Diyala River Valley, modern-day Iraq, was a flourishing political and economic center in the early 2nd millennium BCE. Archaeological evidence suggests that Eshnunna grew powerful during the period of the Isin-Larsa dynasties c. 2000 to 1800 BCE, often serving as a rival or ally to larger states such as Babylon and Assyria. The laws attributed to Eshnunna were written down around 1930 BCE under the reigns of Bilalama and possibly Dadusha, rulers of the city. They survive on 2 cuneiform tablets discovered at Tel Harmal, ancient Shadupum, a city under Eshnunna's control. These tablets, first published in the mid-20th century, contain approximately 60 laws, though the collection may have originally included over 80. Unlike Hammurabi's stele, which was a monumental inscription intended for public display, the laws of Eshnunna appeared to have been more practical in nature, possibly used as a judicial handbook or reference for local judges and scribes. Structure and content of the laws. The laws of Eshnunna do not begin with a lengthy prologue or epilogue, as Hammurabi's code does. Instead, they dive directly into case laws and prescriptions. The language is straightforward and formulaic, reflecting a casuistic style, that is, if X happens, then Y will be the consequence. The topics covered reveal the social and economic concerns of the time. 1. Prices and wages. The laws begin with detailed regulations of prices for goods and services. For example, they specify the rate of exchange for silver, the price of grain, and the wages for various forms of labor. This suggests a strong attempt by the state to regulate the economy and protect consumers from exploitation. By fixing wages and prices, the rulers of Eshnunna may have sought to ensure stability in a society heavily dependent on agriculture and trade. 2. Property and contracts. Several laws deal with loans, collateral, and rental agreements. For instance, they regulate interest rates for borrowed silver or grain, as well as responsibilities of tenants toward landlords. These provisions reflect the importance of agriculture and the need to mediate disputes between landowners and cultivators. 3. Family and marriage. Like other Mesopotamian codes, the laws of Eshnunna contain rules governing marriage, dowries, and inheritance. They outline the rights of women in cases of divorce or widowhood, though, as in most ancient laws, women's legal status was still largely defined in relation to male authority. 4. Criminal offenses. The code prescribes penalties for theft, assault, and adultery. Interestingly, punishments were not always as harsh as later laws. Fines often replaced physical punishments, showing a pragmatic approach to justice. This reliance on monetary compensation, rather than execution or mutilation, suggests a transitional stage in legal development. 5. Slavery and social classes. The laws differentiate between penalties applied to awulu, free men, and mushkenu, persons of lower but free status, as well as slaves. This tripartite division influenced later Mesopotamian codes, including Hammurabi's. Social hierarchy was clearly embedded in the legal system, but even slaves were granted certain protections under the law. Legal principles. Although fragmentary, the laws of Eshnunna reveal several important legal principles. Standardization of justice. By recording laws, rulers sought to reduce arbitrariness in judicial decisions. Judges could rely on written precedents rather than improvisation. Economic regulation. The detailed focus on prices and wages suggests a proto-bureaucratic society where rulers intervene to prevent economic crises. Restitution over retribution. Many crimes were punished with fines rather than physical harm, indicating a preference for restoring balance rather than exacting vengeance. Social stratification. Penalties varied by social status, foreshadowing Hammurabi's later principle of differential justice. Comparison with the Code of Hammurabi. The laws of Eshnunna are often overshadowed by Hammurabi's more famous code, but comparison between the two highlights their significance. Chronology. The Eshnunna laws predate Hammurabi by about a century, serving as an intermediate step between the Sumerian code of Ur-Nammu, c. 2100 BCE, and Hammurabi's c. 1750 BCE. Economic focus. The Eshnunna laws devote far more attention to prices, wages, and loans than Hammurabi's code, which emphasizes property, family, and criminal law. Penalties. While Hammurabi's laws are famous for their harsh eye for an eye punishments, the Eshnunna code often substitutes fines. This suggests a shift from restitution-based justice to more severe retributive principles. Presentation. Hammurabi's stele was a propagandistic monument depicting the king receiving authority from Shamash, the sun god. The Eshnunna tablets lack such royal glorification, implying a more pragmatic purpose. Thus, the laws of Eshnunna represent an important transitional phase in Mesopotamian law, bridging earlier Sumerian traditions with the monumental codifications of Babylon. Social and cultural insights. Beyond legal prescriptions, the Eshnunna laws allow us to glimpse aspects of Mesopotamian daily life. Agriculture. The emphasis on grain prices, field rentals, and oxen demonstrates how central farming was to survival. Urbanization. The regulation of wages for artisans and merchants reveals the growth of urban economies alongside rural agriculture. Family structure. Rules concerning bride prices, dowries, and children highlight the patriarchal framework of society. Justice system. The existence of a written code indicates professional judges and scribes, showing how literacy and bureaucracy underpinned governance. These insights remind us that law was not just about punishment, but about maintaining the balance of society in a fragile agricultural world prone to famine, conflict, and social tension. Legacy and importance. Although less complete than Hammurabi's code, the laws of Eshnunna are vital for historians for several reasons. 1. They confirm that codified law was already well developed in Mesopotamia before Hammurabi. Hammurabi's code was not a sudden innovation, but the culmination of centuries of legal experimentation. 2. They highlight the role of law in regulating the economy. Few ancient codes devote so much detail to prices and wages, making Eshnunna a unique source for economic history. 3. They illustrate the diversity of Mesopotamian legal traditions. Each city-state had its own laws adapted to local circumstances, even while sharing common principles. Ultimately, the laws of Eshnunna show us that law in ancient Mesopotamia was not merely an abstract system of rules, but a living tool for balancing social classes, protecting economic stability, and maintaining order in a complex and competitive world. The laws of Eshnunna represent one of the earliest surviving legal codes in human history. Written around 1930 BCE in a flourishing Mesopotamian city-state, these laws covered everything from grain prices to family disputes, reflecting the central concerns of society. They reveal a transitional stage in the history of justice, that one where fines and restitution predominated over harsh retribution, but where social class already shaped the severity of punishment. Though overshadowed by Hammurabi's later and more famous code, the laws of Eshnunna are crucial for understanding how Mesopotamian rulers sought to regulate daily life, stabilize economies, and maintain fairness in a stratified society. Together with other early codes like Ur-Nammu's, they form the foundation of legal history, showing how ancient peoples first grappled with the eternal challenge of justice. Sources: Roth, M.T., 1997, Law Collections from Mesopotamia and Asia Minor, Society of Biblical Literature. Driver, G.R. and Miles, J.C., 1935, The Babylonian Laws, Oxford University Press. Westbrook, R., 2003, The Laws of Eshnunna, in a History of Ancient Near Eastern Law, edited by Raymond Westbrook, Brill, Botero, J., 2001. Everyday Life in Ancient Mesopotamia, Johns Hopkins University Press. Hello W.W. and Simpson, W.K., 1971, The Ancient Near East, A History, Harcourt Brace Jovanovich.